Welcome to the dungeon with Harlan and Andrew.
Hi, hello. We are here. We're live with you on another episode of The Dungeon. We are unmuted all around. I'm 100% sure of it. I can see those bars. Oh, now I can't hear you, Andrew.
I'm fucking with you.
Oh my god! Oh my god! You really got me on that one.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I was gonna. Oh my god! I was panicking.
Do you two need a minute? I can wait outside.
No,
now. I'm
yeah.
here. I'm staying. Okay, I'll stay.
No, kid. I was already doing the math in my brain. I was like, okay, if I can't hear him there, what is it? That was so good.
Harlan was so confident. He was so confident that it was going to work. So I was like, just for old time's sake. Sorry about that. Welcome to the dungeon. I'm Andrew Orvidal.
And I'm Harlan Kelly. And today, like every day of the dungeon, we have a guest here. But only today we have Geoffrey Palmer, the senior designer at Channel Fireball, and
Whoa.
also a runner of TTRPGs. So thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am very excited. I spend a lot of time in dungeons. I mean, metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, this is a perfect fit. We can go on and sort of work it out together, I suppose.
Good. Yes, I'm glad. You know, they can be real dungeons. It's okay. We're accepting. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm married, children. Okay. Yeah. Let's move. Let's move. Here we go. Now.
So, well, then we'll start with the first question that we ask everybody here on the dungeon. Is how did you get into tabletop role-playing games?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking about this today, and you know, the way back in the brain machine was going, wow, it's been a minute. But we came to the conclusion we were around 10 years old, and I think the first exposure we got was to the 1989 second edition AD&D.
Wow.
I think it was like a starter kit, and my buddy's dad just busted out and was like, Dungeons and Dragons, we're doing this. You know, get at the table. Maybe there was Little Caesars pizza and who knows what, and yeah, just rolling dice, and the experience was, I mean, obviously I'm mid-30s now, stuck with me. I've played ever since, and but the thing that hooked me was the way you craft the story on the fly. I'd never seen that. I was telling you, Harlan, before the show, I'm from a family of storytellers, both parents English majors. It's storytelling all the time. So this sort of improv, yes, and craft the narrative on the fly, that was just like pure, brain food for me. And especially having a DM as he was, who's so able to bring it to life in such a colorful way. I mean, he just set the stage for our love of the game perfectly. Because, you know, you roll the one and, oh, you nearly bash your buddy's head off, and you know, just describing everything to the nines. And of course we were terrible, we didn't know what we were doing, so it was even funnier. You know, you run into a couple of kobolds and you can't even take one down. Total party wipe, one kobold. No. But, I think we were 10 years old, so what are you gonna do? But yeah, that was kind of how I got into it.
That's so cool. I mean, I think the way you're talking about that has this fundamental piece in it that I love. It seems like it immediately taught you as a kid that it's just as interesting to fail as it is to win. Like when it's about the story. Yeah.
The best games are when one party member's alive and reaches up and bonks the thing on the toe for the last hit point and staves off. You know, when things go the worst, that's when they're the most fun. I think.
Do you hear that, Andrew? When things go the worst, they're the most fun. So on Monday, when I eat at all the players' brains with the Mind Flayer, just remember that's the most fun that you've had. So
It's it will be the most. I mean, what a inglorious ending. We have a game that I'm a player in that Harlan runs, and Harlan loves to leave it on a cliffhanger, and it's like the start of combat type cliffhanger.
Sure.
With surrounded by mind flayers. We've never faced off against mind flayers. It's gonna be insane. So it's been dominating my week and like ruining all my brain power, strategizing for something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, mind flayers are not a fun enemy to encounter. Make your
I don't want-
saves.
So
roll well, but isn't that the old
Yeah.
D&D way?
That's true.
Yep.
That's what I love to say. Yeah, can you roll this check and please roll high? So yeah,
All
what
the time.
are you running D&D right now? Are you running any other games?
All the
What's
time.
what's it looking like for you right now?
Oh, it's just funny. So from that seed, we our love grew of the game. Played it on and off throughout the year. Played a lot of second edition. Played a lot of third edition. That was kind of our high school, rule book here, just stacks of, and you can barely see over each other. Hey, did you make that? Oh, I don't know. I'm still on page 207 and all that stuff. But the amazing thing about it was we all, a lot of people lose touch with their hometown friends, especially when they leave, as I did. I'm from Missouri and I now live in Minnesota. So I flew the coop, but actually through the game, kept in touch with everybody. We now play on the Roll20 platform. Awesome. Just get on once a week and see these guys. We all have families, professionals, different stages of life, but we've all, we aren't kids anymore. And yet we still get together and play the game every week. I have
With the same crew.
With the exact same crew that I started, plus two other people that came along. I have something like 1,600 hours on, just days upon days of my life in Roll20, because I think we played it almost since it came out. And so we're I'm the DM, and then my buddy whose dad it was is the other DM, and we just trade off through the years and years. It's funny, we'll start a campaign not knowing if it's going to take us a month or if it's going to take us a year, and I'll run, and then we'll hand it over and he'll run, and if somebody's got something going on, hey, I can't do the prep right now, hand it off to you, and I'll run a short one or a few session one, and we've just traded it back and forth for literal years with the same play group. And we play everything. We don't stick to a module. I've played every variant of D&D, and then or every mainstream D&D, and then a ton of variants. So we just like to have fun. So, cool rule set. It's in space, and everybody has muskets and dinosaurs. Okay, I'm in. Let's go. Pull up the rule set. Sounds good.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's the dream, to be able to play that. Like, that's truly why I started the first long campaign I've ever ran, was to keep in touch with buddies when I moved from Indiana to Denver, and we've been playing online for almost 3 years or 4 now. But it's the dream, and so that's so cool to hear that. That's
really
happening.
is good. Yeah, just to kind of have that connection there with people that you love. But if we said, let's get on and talk, we wouldn't do it. But we've got something to do and something fun to do together, so we have a reason to get together. And it sometimes devolves into just messing around. If a game's on, we'll put the game on. But most times it's we get pretty serious. Okay, load it up, off we go into the Feywild or wherever we happen to be at the time.
Right.
So
it's good to do the catch-ups. It's good to be like, how are you? Like, what's your life like?
Yeah.
But it's also nice to just not and have something to do together.
It really is that escape of just kind of, we're all, I've got an attorney, I have nearly a doctor of math, and those are my two rule saviors. So we, these are my
just
people
negotiating everything.
Yeah, exactly. The math guy, let me tell you. But and then my good friend, another couple of people. Yeah, and so I've got, one's a biochemist, and I'm the creative guy, and then I've got a business guy, and it's like, wow. So very diverse group. We've all gone as disparate a path as you could, and yet we all get together and pretend to swing axes into orcs' faces and stuff like that. Great.
Yeah,
that's
great.
I think that's why it works so well as a social activity, is because you can catch up and vent at the beginning of the session, but then for the next 2 hours, no one's venting about anything. No one's
just having fun. Yeah,
gossiping. Nothing. You're just all participating in something else. It's great.
Yeah. Well, speaking of your creative works, you also have some very cool different animations on Roll20 that you've made yourself, right? I did. Yeah, I just started doing that. I've been an animator
for many years, and I do some work with the Magic the Gathering IP, and I did a lot of stuff for like advertisements and all this type of stuff. Ended up working with one of their distributors, Channel Fireball, but I always like to do a little thing, a little creative expression on the side. And I just did fan animations of Magic stuff for a long time, but then Roll20 was like, hey, we can actually put these in the game. We can take animations and you can play with them. And I was like, the first time I saw it, I was like, that's cool, but I can do better than that. It was one of those kind of like, hey, wait a minute moments. So yeah, it's pretty new. So I'm hoping to kind of catch the wave as these things start coming in. But yeah, they're little loops, so they're perfectly seamless. So you add them into your campaign, and then they just kind of sit there and add to the enjoyment of the of the experience.
I know when I heard that is what you made, I was like, oh my gosh, I did not know those exist, but I want them in my game right now.
I know, that's kind of everybody I showed them to was like, whoa, that's moving. That's the thing, because Roll20 is sort of like traditionally, I mean, it's a very, very faithful tabletop experience, and we like it like that. Like, I never wanted to feel too much like a video game, I mean, or anything. But this is just a subtle thing to add some some visual interest, like the dynamic lighting system they added or whatever. Not necessary, but it's fun. It's better than just drawing a little circle and saying, that's a fireball, guys.
I still haven't mastered the dynamic lighting system, but I have played other people do it, and it's so fun when
you get it right,
is good at it. Yeah, like crawling through a dungeon where you can only see what your character can see is very cool. But I've not figured out how to do it. But those sound amazing. I was wondering, this is just a totally tangential question. Have either of you played the proprietary Roll20 role-playing game, that Burn Bright game that they released?
No, but I really want to.
I hadn't heard about that one.
Yeah,
it's a RPG that they only released on Roll20.
They themselves. Okay, no, I didn't know they were doing that. I just recently kind of connected to them, so I'm sure I'll have to take a look at that. So glad they're finally getting official support from Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro or whoever owns the IP there. It seems like they're able to simultaneously release things.
Yeah.
As opposed to us just hacking it all together, hacking the maps together. Can't tell you how much time I spent just resizing everything and making campaigns work and stuff.
I know, I've taken pictures of things in physical books and then
put it in, and
it's nice because it's just like a fun thing to spend a couple bucks on and have in your game, and it's like right there to impress your buddies with it. It's super fun. I'm gonna drop a link to your latest animations in the chat here because
brand new, and we're gonna give one away. We're gonna do one. Harlan, tell us how to get that.
So I'm dropping them here. If you were watching this and you type giveaway in the chat with a little hashtag in front of it, then you'll be entered to win. We're doing a new thing today, so
cool.
You might get them for free. So type those in the chat, and as well, if you have any questions for Geoffrey,
these are so cool.
Be sure and do them.
Very cool. Ooh, I like that darkness. Oh yeah, and if you mouse over them, you can see them in action. They are fucking cool.
Yeah, they're so cool.
And they don't look like they loop on the little Roll20 preview, but I assure you, when you pull them into the game, they are seamless little loops. Your darkness will sit there and be dark for as long as you want, as long as you maintain your concentration. That was the whole idea with the first pack, is they're 100% concentration spells. So
that way, the players know.
There you go.
That's super cool.
Those are so awesome. You had said before we went live, you said you'd also collaborated with Devon Knight, who's a prolific token maker.
Yeah. He, Devon, it's so funny. I had aspirations of like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and make a video game one time. And I wanted some top-down characters. And I found Devon's tokens and I wrote him and I was like, hey, I want to make a video game. Can I use your stuff? And he wrote me and he's like, I don't care. If you do it, just great. He's a really dry guy, but wonderful. And then I completely failed to make the game. Just the rails fell off almost immediately. Oh. But literal years later, they added the animated tokens to Roll20, and I was like, wait a minute. I animated some of these Devon's tokens for my video game. We could put them in the game and that would be a thing. So I rewrote him and he's just like no time was passed. Oh yeah, hey, how you doing? That sounds great. We worked out a little deal. And then I'll send you the link for that one. Probably we'll put it in Discord or something for you guys. You can take a look at that one. It's a bunch of undead and they're sort of undead around and looking real mean and tough.
That's so cool. I had no idea that Roll20 supported animated.
Yeah, it's brand new. It's using a new it's technology called .webm. It's a really weird video codec thing, but it supports transparency with an extremely low file size. It doesn't look great when you just expand. Like, it's not HD. It's not for that.
Yeah.
You don't need
It's
it
for
for
doing.
that.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing real focused little animations and stuff. So it really, really works well.
That's cool.
That's
sure.
awesome. Do you know if it? Probably not. If it's a low file size, I was curious if it actually supports animated maps because I back a Patreon that's like animated dungeon maps, so all the little torches are burning, and if there's lava, it flows by. But that'd be
Possibly. I don't know if you'd be able to get the resolution to support it. I mean, you'd have to play with it. Because I do it in little chunks, and even like, they're about 1 megabyte or so in file size. And if you're talking a full dungeon map, you might get a little messed up.
Yeah.
cool.
But,
Hopefully down the road they can.
but that's the
start
thing.
supporting
The
those.
internet's just going to keep getting faster, and they're going to keep getting better with the technology. So who knows? I'm sure before too long we'll be able to do it. In the meantime, you can add little animated torches all over the place, and
that's cool.
add these tokens as backgrounds. That's what I'm really excited about. People immediately messaged me saying, "I'm using these as spells, but I'm also like just using them as decoration, and like the portals are." It's supposed to be gate, the 9th level spell that most people don't even ever get to.
Yeah.
But I'm using them as portals, and great. That's what they're for. Use them as however you want. Just have fun.
That's
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So have you
love it.
always kind of like dressed your games in these ways? Not maybe in this exact way. I just
Oh yeah,
like I got
obsessed.
right at the end of before quarantine happened, I was real into making stuff out of like styrofoam and just like painting it for terrain and stuff. It's
Like hardcore physical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've never done the physical stuff. I'm Mr. Computer. I'm Mr.
Yeah.
Digital guy, but I love putting, bashing like maps together and making, trying to do some really cool stuff with the mapping side of things. But mad props. I watch a ton of those videos.
they're
I'll be
so
like,
satisfying.
oh, I love that. And stuff that you'd never think of. They're like, oh, I took this little piece off some Velcro thing, and now it's a cottage, and that's a cottage.
Yeah.
Like what? Amazing.
Yeah.
You just paint something, and suddenly it's perfect. Yeah.
So what's a time that you made something maybe like even before you were doing this that like shocked your party or like got them like what the heck is
Yeah,
what's
well,
going
I
on?
got to say, it was the first time that I put one of the undead in that I had just done with Devon, and they're like, "What?" Like it's like drawing the bow back on the bowstring, and like you can kind of, So now they yell at me whenever something isn't.
Right. Yeah.
They're
You
like-
created little monsters.
Yeah, they're just like, Geoffrey, where's
It's boring,
where's the
dude.
prep,
Yeah.
So then I'll just drop a ring of fire in, and you're all dead, and it's fine.
I know. I had that same experience with minis where I just like remember the first time I was like I went and like bought the mini from the store from the thing, and then when they fought it I was like, here's the thing you're fighting.
Here it is.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
And then-
that's great.
But then the same people are like, wait, where's the if we're gonna fight it, where's the mini for it's-
Yeah,
it's
where
like, yeah.
where is it?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Minis are so addictive. I wish I had the skill to just make the stuff digitally instead of boxes
Mhm.
and boxes of of minis to sift through.
Mhm. Love it.
So one of our themes for this show for 2021 is making stuff and actually like doing it and releasing it.
Awesome.
And so we were just curious if you employ any strategies or what tips you might have to like not only making something cool, but finishing it,
Yeah.
putting it out. Like
That is great. Yes, I for years did like I said, the fan animations, and now I've started this kind of thing. And you walk a really fine line between it feeling like work, like this is something that I kind of have to slog through. And so I set myself little goals, and I'll do I'll look at a project as two parts. So there's the doing the minutia of actually like getting it done, and then there's like prepping to do the rest of the thing, so putting the tokens together and thinking about how they're going to go and all that type of stuff. So I switch my brain into mode one of okay, I'm gonna do a token. And I try to do real short segments, especially because I have a full-time job. I'm got a toddler, 18-month-old kid. I have very limited time to do anything outside of this. So when I switch on, it's okay, I'm going to try to execute on one idea. And if I start to get down a road and I don't feel like it's going in the right direction, just switch and go, and I'll just go and read about spells and try to start imagining what they would look like, or do something that is tangential to what I'm doing but not actually it. And then usually within a couple of minutes I'll be like, okay, wait a minute, I've got this idea for this, but actually that would work for that. And then you just kind of flip back over. So don't just sit there and get into a rut, because you will stop. You'll just be like, it's not worth it, nobody's going to see it. And the last thing that I will say is the biggest motivator: share what you make. Even if you don't think it's good, people will be if you put it into a positive space. Don't post it on Reddit and people are going to come in and go, whatever. Post it on Instagram, post it on Twitter, and just and do the hashtags. I know it sounds kind of it's the times we live in, but do the hashtags, do the things. Find the audience that is related to what you're interested in. I do a little bit of clay modeling too, and I'm terrible. I'm not anywhere near what some of these people do, but you find the right community, and no matter what level you're at, people will go, "That's great, cool. What if you tried this?" Or and they'll give you little bits of feedback. So just start somewhere, start small, share, and then when you start to get that sounding board and that positive feedback, then your interest and your momentum will build, and then you'll feel like, hey, I'm not the owner of this. People want to see this stuff. So now I'm kind of like doing it for the world. And that's sort of cliche, but you know what I mean? Like, if people will want to be bought in, and they'll come along with you on doing it. And you don't feel like you're just in your little cave trying to work it out.
Yeah. Gosh, that's such good advice.
Good.
I feel like you just without talking about it, zeroed in on the things that I know. I'm like, oh yeah, that does slow me down. That also slows me down. That's awesome. That's good advice. So.
Yeah. You gotta, when you're creative, when you are a creative person, like I was telling everybody, I have guitars behind me. I don't know how to play. I have clay behind me. I'm not very good at.
Yeah.
Just kind of surround yourself with little creative things that you can just change channels on. Because creative people, we're like lightning bugs. We get really hot on something, and then the light goes out, and we're over here and forget about that. But you'll come back to it if you give yourself outlets to kind of just jump around.
Man,
for sure.
That's super right. That's exactly what I do too. Yeah, and that's why I started getting into terrain too, because I was like, it feels fun to paint, and I'm bad at painting. Like, this is just fun to do this thing I'm not really
fun.
good at. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Just because you said this earlier, it's kind of a random question, but we've never asked this, and I want to know, what's your favorite spell in D&D?
Oh, that's
As
a
someone
really
who's
good question.
You probably thought a lot about the spells that are there. Like
Spirit Guardians.
Spirit Guardians.
Snap it off. We call it Sparkagunk, which is not the name. I don't know how we came to that. Late one session, somebody said, I'm casting Sparkagunk. But Spirit Guardians, that's the one. I just love that. That was the first time I ever found a spell that was like, every character that I make that can cast this, that's going to be a go-to.
Yeah.
Because it's just great. Yes, I put it in the pack. It's animated.
I saw it in there. I've never seen this spell used, nor have I ever used it myself.
Really? So. Yeah. It's a fun low level spell. It doesn't scale particularly well at higher levels, but it creates a little circle of weapons, just like hacking away at your enemies. So it creates a really interesting combat experience, because you can try to position yourselves to hit as many bad guys, and if they start their turn there, they take damage and all that type of stuff. So
interesting.
Just a good spell. I've always enjoyed Spirit Guardians. Yeah. That's one we always cast.
And cool. I like that there's like a good and evil version of it too.
I sort of just flipped it to the inverse. But hey, it's cool. If you need the dark version, then you got it. Maybe your campaign is evil.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's like one of those spells too, like Magic Missile, where I feel like it's just built for the DM to ask the player to describe specifics about it. It's
yeah.
like, like Fireball's Fireball, but with this, I'm like, come on, tell me what the thing looks like. Like, what do your Spirit Guardians look like? Yeah,
that's great.
Anything.
Yeah. I love
cool.
that. I love that. Good
That's
storytelling moment.
Well, cool.
What's a spell, while we're on the subject of spells, what's a spell that you hate and wish they would officially remove from the game?
All psionic spells. The whole class. No. I mentioned my math buddy earlier, who's just credit shy of becoming Dr. Math. That's what I call him. He one time made the most broken character of all existence. I can't remember even which system we were. I know we were in one of the systems, but I had enabled all the variants and all this type of stuff. And he wrote me about 10 pages of what he was going to do and was like, I think this is kind of messed up, but I'm going to do it. And I, at the time I was like, I'm a skim. Okay. Yeah, whatever. But somehow he had like cast himself into a rock that was like unbreakable, and like his armor class was 30, and like you couldn't, and he could cast the spells from the rock, so he just like didn't have to go in the room. Oh, and it could fly, and like so all the dungeon and all the secrets and all the plannings was useless. Yeah, so I kind of banned.
Was that 5e? Was that in 5e or is that in 4e?
I don't think it was in 5e. I think it was some variant or cool. something. But yeah,
but now you're just burnt on psionics, and you're like, no more
we'll come back to it. Now it's sort of like I cringe. Somebody's like, I'm going to take a psionic dip, and okay, what are you going to do? How much am I going to have to deal with that?
See, I feel that way about feats. I feel that way about feats because like you can do some of that stuff in 5e where it's like, okay, cool. Like, what are you?
Get a little, You if you're good at the rules, you can find the combos that they sort of glossed over, and then you got to come in and like you got to kind of tighten it up, or just at least say, okay, I'll let you do this, but I don't want you to do that. Like he also figured out how to do tunnel fighter plus sentinel, where like if you get in a tight enough corner, no enemy can come near or leave you without just being absolutely ripped to shreds. It's kind of funny. So my math guy is brilliant for the rules, because I'm a storyteller. DM. I know the rules to the extent of to play the game. The absolute specifics, will we switch through so many systems that suddenly it's like, okay, we're in 4E, so do you get attacks of opportunity? Yes, but you can also shift, and so I kind of got to reload things into my brain. But the fun for him is kind of trying to break it. So that's one of my players, and so I want him to have just as much fun as everybody else. So you do you, buddy, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I know. I had a player say that to me one time too, where I was like, if you're pushing all these rules all the time, it's kind of like a power gamer, and we were having that conversation about like it's kind of hurting the fun of the table. And it's like, well, this is the fun for me, and I feel like that took a little bit of time for that to click in my head, where I was like, oh, okay. Like
you have to understand, different people get different things out of the game. Like if I told him to tell me what his spirit guardians look like, he would read the text, and it's like, that's just not going to happen for him. And yet when I tell him like, okay, what's your next level going to be? He will explain to me to the minutia about why he's taking every tiny little min-maxy type thing you can do. And I'm like, that's great. I love it.
It is cool. It is cool to hear people talk about it when they're excited about it.
When people get passionate about the game, and especially when it's your old buddies and it's your group, and my God, we've been doing this for so long. How are we still excited about it? That's what fuels the fire for me. Like, let's keep going. Let's keep playing this forever. I hope.
Yeah, exactly. Just let it never end. I agree.
Let it never end, please.
So just real quick, one more time, we're doing a giveaway of Geoffrey Palmer's animated spells in the chat here. You can enter by typing in #giveaway in the chat. And I think we got to all the questions of the chat. Jason Wardell and I asked the exact same question at the same time.
That was bizarre. But if anyone has any questions, hit us up now.
Are we gonna do the roll 20?
Yeah, we got the roll table.
Yeah.
Oh
What are you
boy.
rolling in there? What is this?
Yeah, so I got a Crystal Skull from, I think, Crystal Skull Vodka, and
Nice.
but I use it. You can use it as a little single dice roller.
That's amazing.
So broke it out.
All right. Well, we have a random roll question table here. So
Awesome.
if you want to give that bad boy a roll, Andrew will have it pulled up and we'll tell you what your question is.
Lucky number 7.
All right.
Number 7. What is 7? Oh, okay. Have you as a DM, have you ever homebrewed an enemy, like your very own enemy, or a take on an enemy?
Yes, on the fly. I have several times had a party, or play with the same people, but I have had a party that you notice that they're getting overpowered or they're getting underpowered.
Yeah.
But I have taken and like adapted, so they'll say, I wouldn't say I've come in and gone, okay, I'm starting from absolute scratch. This is Geoffrey's own monster, but I definitely have gone, okay, here's what they're doing, here's how they attack, and like I'm going, okay, this guy's gonna get shredded, this combat is gonna last half a round, and this is not fun because I haven't prepped 2 rooms ahead. I want to, you just kind of have these thoughts as a DM. And so I definitely have taken, I remember one time I gave something like a chromatic skin that would reflect all the spells that I knew they were specifically going to cast, and so kind of like reflected all their crap back at them, and they still found a way to beat it. But it's like,
that's the fun.
Just taking something and kind of turning it quickly on. Sometimes you got to think quickly. I'm not ashamed to admit I have once or twice gone into an enemy's health pool on Roll20 and just gone like ×2. and just gone, well, we can't have you guys kill this thing in one hit. It's not going to be fun, because they don't have fun either. They complain. Players have, it's like a bowling lane. It's like they have fun. They have no fun when it's too hard, and they have no fun when it's too easy. So it's all about bowl. You got to keep it on the line. You got to walk down the middle. So
I know that's the time to fudge, just in the name of fun.
In the name of fun, fudge. I never would do that if it was like, I kind of abhor like killing my players. I have some friends who find the Gary Gygax, okay, and then you die. You push the button and then you die, and there's no save. Like that's not really fun for me. I don't really like killing people, because then you got to deal with what happens and how do we continue and how do we and all this type of stuff. But I love challenging them, like that's the absolute essence of it for me. So
again, it's that balance is so important, because we've talked to people on here too who they run tables where everyone's on the same page. They're just like, meat grinder, baby, like let's go, like if I die I'll make a new character. But then
some people are into it. I want to show up with 5 different sheets of paper, and okay, Fibble Thip the Meek is down, and here comes Gumdrop the Wizard. And in they go.
But you're right. It having that threat be on the table, but knowing when to for it to show up and when for it to not show up is a skill of GMing.
It sure is.
No one played this clip back for me when I TPK'd the whole party on Monday. Okay,
on Monday?
No one did.
Right.
You're not allowed.
Real fun, Harlan.
Well, cool.
Oh boy.
Players. That's gonna be fun.
Thanks so much.
So how do we activate this giveaway? How do we?
I can do it right now. We can pick the winner right now.
Go for it.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah, right.
I had to resist not entering. I'm just gonna buy them.
All right. Our good fan Clooney McRoy won this drawing. Randomly drawn out. We did it by a bot.
I think he's been here for every single episode, so well deserved.
Perfect.
A true fan.
I just need their Roll20 account email, and we can get that shipped.
So
or
security number and mailing address.
And credit card and all that.
Clooney, I'll get it from you too, and I'll make sure and send it over. But
we'll get that right over to you. Yeah, and thank you guys for. I mean, this is just a new little thing. I'm doing it on the side, but I appreciate you guys showing it off.
Oh yeah,
I want to make more.
Cool.
So it'll be. Fun.
I had no idea that these were even a thing. So
the second one is in the works. It's going to be all wizard spells. So.
Oh boy, I love it, man. I love
Awesome.
how much you're thinking about the spells. That's cool. I'm excited to use these. So
Good
Yeah.
old
Very
spells.
cool.
thanks for coming and talking to
All right,
us.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I'll come back sometime.
Please do. If you are just watching this for the first time and you don't know who we are or what we're doing here, this is The Dungeon. It's a talk show where we talk every week about running games. And on Monday, I run a game with Andrew here in 3 other people. And we run a 5e spell jammer game that's live every Monday on Twitch at 7 o'clock Pacific time.
Also on YouTube, if you want to catch up, there's only about 80 to 100 hours of content. You can binge it and catch up and see what insanity we are in.
It's a good time. Well, cool.
Fantastic.
That's it. That's everything. Except, don't
Cool.
forget, tip your DMs, everybody.
Tip your DM if you can.
DMs.
Tip your DM. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. See y'all later.
See ya.